Once you're ready to buy a stock, you need to learn how to actually buy it. It's not that exotic a process, but it's not exactly the same as walking into a store and buying some cereal or walking into a pizzeria and buying a slice. But to help us understand the differences and then the nuances of buying a stock, I thought it'd be useful to illustrate buying a slice of pizza and then stopping to compare it to buying a stock. Let's go into a few scenarios and then explain how that applies to buying a stock. Welcome to Danny's Pizza. Hi there, I'd like a slice. Cheese slices are $2 a slice. Great, I'll take two. What we just saw is what's called a market order. When you make a market order on buying a stock, you're just taking the price that's available and you're buying as much of it as you want. You might want one slice, you might want two slices, you might want 100 shares, 150 shares, whatever it is, you're just taking the market price. Personally, I prefer to use limit orders, which we'll talk about in a second. Market orders, if you want to use, it does guarantee that you will get the stock, even though you won't control the price exactly. And if you're buying when the market is open and you're talking about big companies that trade a lot, you're probably fine with a market order. Again, I prefer limit order. Let's see what that looks like. Hi there, I'd like a slice. How much? Cheese slices are $2 a slice, pepperoni's $2.50. What if I gave you $1.50? No. Okay, fine. But when a cheese slice is available for $1.50, I'll take 5. And if a pepperoni slice is worth $2, I'll take 2 of those as well. Okay. So a limit order generally doesn't apply to day-to-day things you buy. There's not a lot of bargaining. You're not going to be able to wait until the slice of pizza is available. With a stock, you can wait. Stock prices change from day to day. This is the biggest difference really between buying a thing that you're going to consume now and a stock that you're going to hold in your portfolio. Prices change from day to day, hour to hour, but also over months and years. That's why we hold them and buy them, because we hope that we'll buy them lower, get them higher. In the short term, a limit order allows you to control your price so that you're not locked into buying absolutely, but you're buying, for example, when it's on sale. If you have a stock that you like that is selling for $14 a share right now, and you put it a limited order for $13, then in theory, you'll get it only when it's at 13. And hopefully it's at 13 because the market is selling off for whatever other reason and not something to do with that stock. That's the biggest advantage, I think, to limit order, is that you can control your price. The downsides are that you might not ever get your stock. It could be that 14 is the lowest it'll ever go and it's stock you really wanted, and you're going to miss out on having it in your portfolio. That's happened to me before on really narrow margins. But as a whole, I feel more scared about paying too much for a stock than I do about missing out. So for me, I gear towards limit orders. I can set them and forget them for up to 4 months in my brokerage, and in some brokerages it's longer. And that's how I like to buy a stock, through limit orders. Again, it depends on your situation, type of stock you're looking at. That's the trade-off between a limit order and a market order. Let's keep going. What are you thinking about for lunch? Well, I should really eat some vegetables, but I kind of just want a pizza. Well, doesn't a pizza have tomato sauce on it? Doesn't that count as a vegetable? Yeah, it does. Good call. Good call. The biggest thing is still deciding whether or not to buy it all. And you have to weigh out everything. And we've talked a lot about this. What you look for in a company, what you look for in a stock, how you evaluate the stock, your margin of safety, and so on. At the end of the day, though, you have to decide what you're going to put in your portfolio, how many stocks, and then which ones. One way to go about this that I think is a smart way, if you're patient enough and if you feel good about your analysis, is to look at companies first, find the companies you want, and then work backwards to what price would you want to own them at. I've said I like to have at least 50% upside when I'm buying a stock, where I can see it being worth 50% more or more than that in the next 2 to 3 years. That's a time frame that I think I can understand. It's a time frame that is advantageous for other reasons. And it's where I get what I think is a real value and upside, where it matters. You will find what works for you. But if you start with the best companies, then you're just looking for them where they're at a sufficient sale. The problem is that the best companies don't often go on sale. And that's where you get into that spectrum of, okay, maybe I want to buy something that's not as perfect a company, but the price is right. There's a saying in the market that for every asset, there's a good price. There's a price where you do want to buy. You're buying prices and not the value themselves. Not everybody agrees with that. You're going to have to figure out where is it that you really want to feel good about buying. That's actually the more important thing than market versus limit order, and it's tricky. You know, maybe it's not a good idea to eat pizza right now. What are you worried about, dude? I've been spending a lot of money this week. Do I really want to eat out again? But isn't pizza your favorite thing? Yeah, but also, I don't know how good I'm going to feel after I have another slice of greasy pizza. Well, what if you only buy one slice, and only if it's on sale? Yeah, maybe that would work. And again, if slice of pizza on sale, maybe you don't want to buy it. Good point. Jeez, I don't know. This is another illustration in some sense of margin of safety. It's hard to illustrate margin of safety with pizza, but with a stock, again, you want to think, what could go wrong? Where do I get myself in trouble? And you want to be able to put yourself in a position where you're not going to hurt yourself too badly if you buy the stock. And if it works out well, it'll matter. You'll feel really good about it. It's hard to really do that with food, but that's how stocks work. That's how investing works. That's another part of the buy decision. It's have you built in an adequate margin of safety? Okay, I'll buy a cheese pizza. What sizes do you have? Small, medium, large, and extra large. How many people does the extra large serve? How hungry are they? It's 12 slices, 18 inches of pizza. Okay, that sounds good. I'll have one of those. Aren't you alone? We're going to do a whole course on how to construct a portfolio that goes much further into how big your position you want to be and so on. But here I want to think about how much do we want to buy it for upfront? Where do you want to, you say you want to buy a stock, you're confident in the price. How much should you buy? Everybody, again, will figure out what works best for them. Here's how I do it and what I've learned to do over time and I think works for me. I want to own X amount of stock. Like that's my position. Let's say I have a portfolio where I want to own 10 stocks. You don't really need to own more than 8 if you're an individual to get diversification. Let's say I want 10. Each of them I want equally weighted as sort of a starting point. So I want them to be 10% of my portfolio. Let's say I don't want any cash. That means I'm going to have 10% of my portfolio. If I have $1,000 in my portfolio, $100 per stock. I'll start off by buying $50 of a given stock at the price available, which has the adequate margin of safety, the right risk reward, and everything else. $50 in a stock that I like at the current price, and I feel like I will get the return I want. The thing is, it still may go down. And so what I prefer to average down if there's no new news to stop me. So I'll wait, and if it goes down 5% or 10%, I might buy another $25 worth of stock. And then if it does that again, another 5 or 10% lower, I'll buy the last $25 of stock. There, I bought $100 worth of the stock. I get more shares than I would have if I had bought up front, a lower average price. And if my analysis works out, it doesn't really matter so much in the long run whether if I buy at 8 and I think it's worth 12, the fact that it goes down to 6 doesn't hurt me if I can still sell it at 12 at some point. But if I can buy for cheaper, great. The risk of all of that in my strategy is that I buy at 8 and then it never goes below 8. Instead of buying 100, I only bought 50. I don't view that as a huge risk. Personally, I'm wired to where fine. 50 is still a lot if I'm starting with 1,000. If it doubles or whatever, amazing. And if I find reason to buy more later, sure, we can talk about averaging up later. But that's where I like it. You need to figure out what works for you. I just think it is a good idea to not put all the money you want to put in a stock at one go, and to think about limiting how much you put into a stock. You do want some diversification. If you have more than 50% of your portfolio in one stock, you basically own that stock. And so if anything goes wrong with it, you get in trouble. So we're talking about diversification, averaging up and averaging down, things we're going to talk about in the future. That's how I think about starting a position, where I want to start buying. I cannot wait to eat this pizza. I can't believe nobody else wanted to buy an extra large pizza like I did. I think I'm going to just eat it in one sitting. I am just starving right now. Ugh, I can't move. I can't believe I ate all of that. I'm gonna be sick. I cannot move. Oh no. The biggest thing I think about when I'm buying a stock is the emotional aspect. Because on the one hand, I love buying stocks and I love selling stocks. It feels, if I sell for a win, because it feels good. Like I've done something, I've put some energy in, I've got my money on the line, I'm excited, and it's just, you did the work and then you got a price you wanted. But that excitement gets replaced by dread almost immediately because somebody sold me that. And that somebody might know something I don't, or they might have a better analysis than I do. And that's always there in the market. Every time you buy or sell a stock, you're essentially, I think, telling the market that it is wrong. All those millions of people out there are idiots for having sold you this stock at $8 or having bought it from you at $12. It's not actually true because everybody has different timelines. Everybody has different things that they're trying to do in the market. So it's hard to say that you're always flying in the face of the market when you buy or sell. But to some degree, it's there. And unless you're arrogant enough to think that you actually are smarter than everybody else, in which case you're not watching this video, you have to know that you could be getting it wrong. And that is always there. I try to control that in a few ways. First, like I said, staging in my buys so that I'm not putting all my eggs right away in this basket that I had wanted to buy. But then also, I try to tune out the market as much as possible because, again, it doesn't really matter to me if I buy at 8, it goes down to 4. If it gets back to 12, at the end of the day, I'm fine. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's ultimately the way I try to think about it. My favorite Warren Buffett quote is he talks about you want to buy a stock and as if the market won't be open for another 10 years. Not because you literally will do that. He does buy and sell stocks in a shorter time horizon. But you want to give yourself a chance to believe that this is a good company or a good stock and I really will be fine. And I don't need to worry about the price every day. You basically tell Mr. Market, Benjamin Graham's creation, you don't care if he's willing to buy for more tomorrow or less on Tuesday or whenever. You just kind of zone it out. You don't look as much as possible. You focus on what's happening with my company. You do need to know the news. You do need to know what's happening. But you don't need to be tracking the price every day, especially once you've built up your full position. That's one way I do it. It's a little bit ostrich-like, but that's a way to control my emotions. And then I also try to be humble and I try to learn and I try to see what's happening and I try to remember things are going to go wrong. I'm going to get things wrong, whether it's things I could have predicted, things I couldn't, but I'm also going to get some things right. And if I can just get enough of those right and cut my losses quickly enough on things I get wrong, based on results, not the stock price itself, then I have faith that I'll learn, I'll grow, and it should work out over time. That's how I control those emotions. Controlling your emotions is probably worth its own video. It is the most important thing, but you first feel it acutely when you buy the stock because it is exciting and then it's terrifying. How you balance that so that you don't get too high or too low is going to determine a large part of your success in the market. The mechanics of buying a stock aren't that complicated. We talked about market and limit. You'll learn that over time. How much you want to buy up front, you'll learn what works for you. How you get your margin of safety, what you want for your upside, all of those, they're going to be a part of your process over time. At least if you're following what I'm talking about, you'll build that in. What never gets old, first of all, is adjusting those as you figure out what's right and which situation needs X margin or Y margin and all those sorts of things. But the emotions never get old. I've done this for over a decade and I still feel that excitement when I buy something new and also that dread and that fear. And then it's in my portfolio. And if it's going well, great. And if it's not going well, I might be worried. And oftentimes you want to have the opposite reaction. So controlling that, it's never going to be easy. It never goes away, but that is part of investing. And as long as you're keeping your focus on finding good companies at good prices for the next 3 to 5 years, and you keep learning and keep an open mind and keep ingesting information without focusing too much on the day-to-day noise, you're going to do okay. At least I think. There's nothing promised, but that's the idea. That's how I tell myself how to deal with it. Those are the mechanics of buying a stock, including the emotions that are inside. One of the best ways to overcome all of this is to learn, not only from your own lessons, your tuition is your investing losses. That's where you do learn and you grow from, but also from other people's. There's the saying that true wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes and not just your own. That's what I want to talk about in the next few videos to wrap up the How to Buy Stocks course. Examples from my investing, both wins and losses, and misses where I didn't buy because the price didn't come to me, and from famous investors so that we can see how it works in practice and we can spell this out. Stay tuned for that. Grab yourself a piece of pizza so that you can have energy for the next video. Thank you for watching. Check out shortinvestingguide.com, and I'll see you next time with some examples on stocks I've bought or famous investors have bought and how they work.